Hello everyone, I am Tessellating Hexagons, and oh my god, that was a semi-final and a half, wasn't it? Well, no, it was just one semi-final because the next one's tomorrow, and if that's gonna be even remotely like last night's semi-final, then I am so much less ready than I thought, and I didn't think I was ready to begin with. So, calm down, Tess. In this video, I'm going to be giving my thoughts on the show as a whole, and on all of the participants, starting with the 10 qualifiers in the order they were announced, and then I'll go through the remaining non-qualifiers in running order. Don't have much to say about all of them necessarily, but let's just dive right in. First of all, I heard people praising the postcards this year. You are absolutely right to do so. They are brilliant. They're not as, say, colourful or as, inventive as 2014, but, they are definitely up there in terms of quality. I like it. I intend to watch them again, once the show's over, assuming they upload them all to the YouTube channel. They usually do. So good year for postcards, good year for graphics in general. I heard people being a bit cynical about, oh no, the font that has the name of the country before each song, it's too basic, oh, it's Arial, I think it looks okay. It exceeded my expectations. Basically, I really like everything about this year. I just kind of agree that, there's a bit too much blue going on because we keep having blue, and I don't know, we'll have a different colour next year, I'm sure. At least, I hope. Anyway, I'm impressed with the stage. I like that it has moving parts, and I like that it has, the screen in those, chunks where, it rotates. So you can have a full screen behind you, you can have part of a screen, or you can make it turn sideways, basically make it be invisible, and basically you've got a background like in last year's venue, so everyone wins, basically. Except, not everyone wins because there were only 10 qualifiers, and okay, time to divulge those. First to be announced was Greece. I have nothing really to say other than, very deserved. She hit that high note and held it on for all it was worth, and that's very impressive. Not necessarily my personal favourite, but I absolutely respect it qualifying, and I'm happy that it did, because it was hard-earned, and also, so they got that sort of egg thing and then just threw it into the audience while Katarina's there screaming. Maybe the whole performance is a metaphor for a period. It's not. I'm just joking about throwing an egg out and it being painful. You know what, Tess? Stop. People get it. Second to be announced was Belarus, and if you've not seen my reaction video, then I recommend it, because Belarus took me by surprise, and I'm so glad they qualified, because this song is kind of, it's my guilty pleasure of this year. I'm happy to see it in the final, and actually, I just remembered I have notes on each of the songs, but yeah, with Greece. Oh, also, the vocals at the end of the Greek performance, it sounded like they were sort of going, "Caw-caw!" like crows, but in a good way. It's a compliment. But yes, Belarus, all I wrote was, it snaps, and also, it was the backing vocalists that were shrill. Zena was fine for the most part, really good, probably one of the best, okay, maybe not one of the best vocalists of the night, but better than Tamta. You didn't hear it from me. But it was her backing vocalists on the first like-its in the chorus, they were shrill and it kind of showed. But other than that, also, I wrote, in block capitals and underlined it, flute! Talk about the flute! That was loud. Yeah, ever since this song was first chosen, I have been meaning to say how much I like the flute bit towards the end. There, I finally praised it to camera. I like Belarus's flute. Even if the lyrics at that point do kind of sound like Brundlefly, 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 blah, blah. I can't even say it. And then, Lakitu, 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 baby! I giggle. Anyway, after Belarus to be announced was Serbia. 10 million% deserved. Absolute queen. I feel like I actually put... Yeah, literally all I wrote for Serbia was queen. Nevena is just... I keep praising how she's developed as an artist, and last night's performance absolutely proved it, because, she came 11th with Moja 3, and she did really well in the junior contest before that, and now she's back by herself, slaying musically, slaying vocally, very well-earned spot in the final, and just go Serbia! I'm surprisingly Team Serbia this year, and I'm absolutely here for it. After Serbia was Cyprus. Not really all that surprised. The vocal performance didn't really impress me, to be honest, and I agree with that one tweet that said that the stutter effects on the video kind of made her look like a malfunctioning robot. And also, it wasn't intentional, was it, that one of the light pillars was kind of broken? It looked broken, because it was it was half functioning, it was getting a signal, but not a complete signal, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't wired up properly, and it was really noticeable because it was one of the two middle pillars, but yeah, they powered through it. I feel like if that had been a certain other country 2 or 3 years ago, then they would have screamed for, no, we want to perform again because this one light box didn't go off properly. But no, Cyprus took the L, as it were, and still qualified, and I am not surprised. You would probably know this if you saw my initial review of the song, and I'm not necessarily proud of that reaction, but here we are. Anyway, after Cyprus was Estonia. I have mixed feelings about Estonia. I respect that Victor acknowledged that his performance wasn't perfect. Like, it wasn't awful. It definitely wasn't the worst one of the night. I'm just glad that he acknowledges that he does still have room for improvement. What did I say in my notes? I put that he was pitchy in places, so yes, I noticed that too. And also, the staging is kind of low-key, a lot of nothing without the graphics, and I know not everyone agrees with me on this, and I respect that. Personally, I kind of have a strong feeling of you shouldn't be allowed to just straight up overlay footage over your live performance, because, like, we're here to see the song performed live, not to see you premiere a new music video, so it feels to me like it's disingenuous that they cut to pre-recorded footage of him spinning around, pretending that it's still being performed live on stage, pretending that this storm is rolling in around him, and then pretending that he's teleported behind the microphone with a guitar that wasn't there before. That bothers me, but I'm not specifically picking on Estonia. I've had this beef ever since, like, Romania did it in 2014. It doesn't sit right with me personally, because it's kind of like lying to the audience about what's going on stage. Like, holograms, I understand, because, you know, no one's kidding themselves about the fact that there's multiple Iveta Mukuchans on stage, for example. And I don't mind what they did with Finland, because they were clearly showing that is the background. We're not pretending that our backing dancer has gotten huge and wet. Could have worded that better. The point is, it just feels like I'm being lied to, and I don't like that, but I am absolutely hyperfixating on this, and I shouldn't. Let's just move on. The Czech Republic, well-deserved qualification in my opinion. Yeah, all I wrote was, flawless Mr. Unicorn. Basically, if you watched Norway's national final this year, the whole thing with the, like, they were in boxes, and then the cameras were pointed straight at the boxes, so they did, like, visual effects in post. I'm glad they did that, because that's what I would have done if I was the cinematographer for that particular staging. Like, it would seem like a waste to have them, like, in these perfectly square boxes with cameras pointed straight at said boxes, and for them to not do what they did, so I'm glad they did. And also, damn boy, that long sustained note at the end of the performance from Albert, that basically blew away all of my concerns about him using up his energy. That was genuinely very impressive, and also, first of all, get dunked on haters, and also I'm just so happy that the Czech Republic is basically a consistent finalist at this point, he says, 2 years into a pattern that's lasted 2 years. I'm just glad they're in the final, because the Czech Republic's being taken seriously. Bearing in mind, I sort of grew up in an era of the contest where the Czech Republic were sort of whispered about in the dark. Ooh, did you hear of that country that never qualifies? Ooh. And they've shattered that reputation now, and I'm so happy for them. After the Czech Republic was Australia. Really not a surprise, and yeah. All I wrote in my notes is impressive, like staging-wise and vocals-wise. No one's disputing that. My thing with Australia is the live staging is impressive. Yes, I agree with that. It is absolutely really good, really well done, really impressive. But it's not head and shoulders more impressive than some of the other competitors. Like, for instance, I would not say that it's more impressive than the Czech Republic. I would say they're at least equal in terms of impressiveness. So it kind of bothers me when people are like, ah, yes, winner, look at her in space. Like, it is impressive. And yes, it takes crazy amounts of skill to still hit those operatic notes whilst waving around in anti-gravity. It's impressive, just no more impressive than the Czech Republic or Estonia, and just the hype bothers me when I know that it's about something that is kind of being blown out of proportion, but other than that, like, she deserves a spot in the final. I want people to judge the whole package and not just, ooh, pretty graphics. Otherwise, that would be an insult to Kate as well, because she's putting in the effort here, and to just go gaga over what you're seeing and not over what you're hearing, bit rude. Anyway, after Australia, Iceland, good. I liked that one of the performers had their leg just vertical when they were shown in the green room. Just basically, Iceland is just a treat this year, and yeah, in my notes, all I put is that those 3 minutes just flew by. Like, really, the performance started and ended, I'm like, wow, I want more of this. And I'm not into BDSM, by the way. I have a close Canadian friend who is, but I'm not going to air his dirty laundry here and now. Point is, I'm not into it sexually, I just enjoy the song and the performance. which is a really weird thing for me to be saying to a camera to this particular audience, but you get the idea. Then, San Marino qualified. I need to eat a shoe. I was so caught up in the moment in the reaction video that I kind of forgot about that bet, but I intend to uphold it. It's just difficult to do on short notice. I mean, where would you get a shoe at this time of day? I never leave the house. But I agree that people are right to say his vocals were a little bit in the first verse. But haters once again get dunked on. He actually did pick things up and improve over the course of the song. Like, he was in tune by the refrain, maybe the second sort of verse bit. He was definitely on point by the end, and I want people to acknowledge that. Like, yeah, it's kind of a meme song, yeah, my father laughed at it, but like, he still enjoyed it. Like, it got points from all of us in our household vote. It came fourth in our household vote, and I think some of that is meme votes, sure, but it's a fun song, it's uplifting, it's wholesome, and I'm glad that it made it into the final for so many reasons. Just, well done, San Marino. I am so in love, and just, yeah, justice for Sunmu. And then the final one to be announced was Slovenia. I kind of called it from the very beginning, well, not from the very beginning, but like, as the results were being announced, I said, well, Slovenia's gonna get through because of all the hype, and then I was right, and just look at my notes, not much to say. Additional notes for San Marino. Daddy Meme Lord. That is all. But yeah, with Slovenia, it was sublime. The wide angles, or wangles, as I'm going to call them from now on, actually worked with this one, and I did not think they would. Like, I thought that zooming out on this performance would make them just look bleh, like it would break the illusion. But weirdly, with the lighting, it actually worked really well. Like, it shows they're just two people huddled up really close in this galaxy, and then you zoom out to show just how small they are in this galaxy, and yet, their story is still worth hearing. Like, it's weirdly semiotically appropriate, and I'm kinda here for it. And also, as I said in the pre-show review, you know, Zala's vocals, once again, on point in terms of hitting the right emotions, and it's so kind of strange. This kind of feeds into the next thing I'll be talking about. This is one of those countries where, as I said, there's only two of them, and not only that, but they're so bunched up in the middle of the stage, and you have those wangles highlighting the size of the stage, and yet, the world of this song still completely fills it. Compare and contrast Montenegro, the first of the non-qualifiers, well, first in terms of running order, we don't know the full results yet, but they had good vocals, they had good harmonies, but it felt really disjointed, and, well, it's not the most disjointed Eurovision performance I've ever seen, but at the very least, it wasn't as compelling. There were 6 of them, and yet it felt very scattered. It didn't feel as engrossing as just 2 people bunched up together for Slovenia. And my main note is, yeah, they have good vocals, good harmonies, good synergy, but it was staged like a team-building exercise, and now I cannot unsee that. And then there was Finland, where the vocals were kind of questionable. Again, they improved over time, and I suppose that is a thought I want to come back to for San Marino. Like, okay, he was a bit shaky to begin with, but in 2017, Blanche for Belgium was kind of shaky, but people gave her a second chance for the final. I'm glad that's happened for San Marino. Kind of a shame that didn't happen for Finland, but I kind of thought that would happen, and it was a bit reliant on the background, but overall, still a decent and enjoyable performance, but I totally get why it didn't qualify, and also, I suppose it's kind of a talking point now. You know, when you get people who don't know anything about Eurovision saying, oh, so-and-so country should send so-and-so. Well, now, people who say, oh, Finland should send Darude because Sandstorm would win, we can take this year's footage and go, no, that did not happen. They tried to make it happen and it didn't work, so shut up. Stop telling us how to rule our world. And, you know, finding the bright side of all things, it could have been a qualification, but it wasn't. It's a shame, but life goes on. Then there was Poland. Honestly, Poland's performance was pretty much flawless. Like, you know, I'm not a massive fan of the song, but I still appreciate a good performance when I see one. And also, when the cameras cut away to show the audience, I thought, show us the stage, they're performing. Then it cuts back and I'm like, oh, it's because they were getting off the turntable and also hiding the like, where did the turntable go? It just vanished. Now see, Estonia, that's real magic, but yeah. The vocals were perfect. They got the audience clapping in that weird rhythm that, like, well, not weird, but like, it's not the most intuitive, but they got people to do it. Like, they made a moment, and off the back of that, I'm kind of surprised it didn't qualify, to be honest, but here we are in the future of the timeline where they didn't make it. It's a shame, but I hope that people remember Tulia fondly for years to come. You know, it's going to be a sticking point in Poland's history where people are like, oh yeah, that happened, that was cool, they were robbed. My only thing is, I hope now that the Polish broadcaster doesn't look at that and go, right, we need to start sending vapid stuff, because clearly Europe doesn't like our culture. We love 2014, please, keep this sort of thing up. It's just, the white voice thing is kind of divisive, and it was a good performance, they could be proud of it. Then there was Hungary. Hungary was robbed, that is not easy to say. I'm shooketh, to be honest. To use completely bad English, I am shaken to my very core. I thought Hungary was a safe qualifier. It just goes to show, Eurovision, anything can happen. Yahtzee was really touching, really moving. I was moved by it. I wrote as such in my notes, yeah. Amazing vocals, amazing, lighting. It was nice and it was touching, and I don't really know what more he could have done. But that said, I did have a bit of a nagging feeling towards the end of the song where he goes in for the second, repetition of the na-na-na-na-na-na-na. At that point, it felt like it was dragging on a bit, and I think that's probably what detached people from it. I feel as though this will be one of the two countries that the jury and televote didn't agree on, because Jon Olesen put out a tweet saying, oh, the 8 out of 10 countries the jury and televote agreed on. I feel like Hungary, the juries will have supported it and the televote not so much, which is a shame, because it's a really pretty song, and this is Hungary's first non-qualification of a Nadal winner. And I'm sad, but then again, I was talking with some of my friends, and we were saying that this was kind of a weak year for Adele anyway, but Azina Palm was still a good song, and I intend to still listen to it even after the contest. Justice for Yahtzee, but not too much justice, because he did well in 2017, so he can't be completely salty, I guess. It's a good song, and it deserved better. Then it was Belgium. I didn't super hyper feel the staging, but it was still good for what it was. I still appreciate what they were trying to do. The drums were still kind of questionable, but hey-ho, and yeah, my notes were just, they tried. I didn't feel super engaged, but I would not have begrudged them a place in the final, but that's kind of all I have to say on that. Then there was Georgia. I gave Georgia my 10 points in our family's voting, and just, I don't know what more to say. I got chills from Otto's voice and the barbed wire, dragon snake thing in the background. That actually really got to me, because what's that in the background? The camera moves away, moves back. Oh, it's gone. Oh no, it's back. What is that? Oh my god, it's barbed wire. I know what the song's about. It really touched me, and I feel like the fact that it was in Georgian, I think maybe hindered its message somewhat, combined with the fact that people had already decided they hated the song from the outset, and I don't know why. Again, Georgia deserved better. I see why it didn't qualify, and it was not really ever in danger of going against that expectation, but I wanted Georgia in the final. Begs the question, what's the broadcaster going to take away from this, and what they're going to do for it next year? And do I have any additional thoughts? It was powerful. I wrote, powerful! Barbed wire. Ooh! That's kind of the flavour my notes take when I'm so engrossed in watching the show. Then there was Portugal. Oh, by the way, they've changed the 3-letter flag codes in the corner of the screen, and I'm offended, because Slovenia used to be SLO and now it's SVN, and Greece used to be GRE, now it's GRC, and then there was Portugal, used to be POR, now it's PRT. Stop changing things without telling me. I'm trying to make scorecards, which you can still download in the description, by the way, in case you need one for semi-final too. But yeah, Portugal. Couldn't really fault the performance. It's just weird, which, I knew going into it wasn't to everyone's taste, and as I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see it qualify, I wouldn't be surprised to see it not qualify, and here we are. A part of me is hoping that everyone, Portuguese and international, walks away from this having learned a little bit about, Portuguese musical culture and European musical culture in terms of, where they cross over and where they don't. Just so that next year Portugal can come back with, a fresh outlook on the contest, bearing in mind, after a Marpolus Deutsch, they came last in the final with O Jardim, which I agree deserved better, and then Telemóveis. I don't think this will have come last, all things considered. But I don't think it came 11th either. I think that went to Hungary, but we'll see. I do think, people should have given Portugal a fair shake, and maybe they did. It's just, I can see why people didn't resonate with it, because it is a bit weird, especially going into it, without any prior expectations. But, again, I think Conan and his dancer can be proud, and that's something else I meant to bring up. Much like with the Belarusian flute, I want to praise Conan's backing dancer for being able to dance on point, literally in the traditional meaning of on point, right on his toes, as opposed to, just on tiptoe. And, that is really difficult to do, and I've been meaning to praise that basically since the song was chosen. It's really difficult, it's really painful, and that performance was art. It's just being different isn't necessarily enough to win over the Eurovision audience, but I appreciate that Portugal tried, and hopefully everyone stepped away from this with a deeper appreciation of Portuguese culture, and with a Portuguese broadcaster better understanding, right, we can't go this hard this quickly because Europe might not get it, but maybe if we build on it over the course of a few years, people will start to be a bit more appreciative. I know, it's a learning experience for everyone. But anyway, that's all I have to say about the show itself. Brilliant show. The hosts were, no one's ever particularly fond of Eurovision hosts, I guess, but they didn't do a bad job, and basically, all of the criticism against the contest can just shut up because this was a good show, and as I said, I can't wait to see just how crazy the next semi-final is. So, I've been able to continue to be Tessellating Hexagons. I got 9 out of 10 right for this. I can only dare to dream that I might get 10 out of 10 for the next semi-final, so join me tomorrow for that.